Clint Work, who is an assistant professor specializing in political science and international relations at the University of Utah's Asia campus. Clint, thank you so much for your time. Look, it may just be semantics that Japan and North Korea are arguing about, but there have been plenty of tests by Pyongyang since the collapse of the latest meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un in Hanoi in February. Are any of those tests in violation of UN resolutions, as far as you know?
The ones that are believed to be, and in fact are, ballistic missile tests would violate UN resolutions and sanctions. As the Trump administration itself has tried to keep up what I would consider the useful fiction of ongoing negotiations, the president himself has downplayed these and the extent to which they may violate existing sanctions. Shinzo Abe, as you mentioned in your lead, has been much more outspoken in saying that they do in fact violate them, has consistently taken this line since the tests really picked up. I believe it was in May when they really started to pick up, and have been continuously conducted since then.
You say that Donald Trump is downplaying the tests, and presumably that serves his interests of trying to reach some sort of deal on Pyongyang's denuclearization. There are also some thoughts that actually North Korea has advanced its nuclear weapons program more than clearly it's letting on, or more than some spy agencies around the world are letting on. Any indication about any of that activity, as far as you know?
Well, there's no doubt that the testing that's been going on over the summer, over the last 4 to 5 months, does bolster its conventional capabilities. And in a certain respect, on one hand, it's not really remarkable behavior for a state. All countries' militaries conduct tests in this manner to improve their capabilities. And there are sort of longer testing schedules that these tests occur on. So it's not necessarily slapdash deciding in the moment to test things just to send an external signal. But there's no doubt that in conducting these tests, and without any sort of external verification of what's going on inside North Korea in terms of its nuclear program, there's widespread belief that it's bolstering its capabilities, both missile and artillery, but also its nuclear stockpile. But again, there's no way to know for exact certainty.
Clint, without wishing to sensationalize the danger that Kim Jong-un's nuclear weapons may pose to the part of the world you're speaking to us from, is there a real fear in South Korea and Japan in particular that if the regime in North Korea is in danger of a collapse, that Kim Jong-un may launch some kind of attack against South Korea and Japan? Is that fear real?
It would depend on how the aforementioned collapse would be coming about. If it were due to some sort of internal domestic factors, that could be a different story. If it was due to external pressure and actual military, what Pyongyang sees as military aggression from Washington or other regional allies, the feeling of use them or lose them could prevail in Pyongyang. That's certainly been a longstanding concern. But on the other hand, tensions like we're experiencing today, as you and most of the informed public well knows, are nothing new to the Korean Peninsula. So the extent to which they are more worrisome now than in the past, you could quibble one way or the other. There are certainly negative trends where we could see what's happening now get exceedingly worse in the not too distant future. So there is definitely concern that it could worsen.
Kim Jong-un has given Washington a deadline of the end of the year to at least get to a point where an agreement looks a possibility. So far, in the behind the scenes that are going on, the North has consistently said that actually the Americans haven't changed their attitude at all. What happens if the deadline passes?
That's a good question. The deadline is very soon, obviously. I think it's, on the one hand, it is, as you were indicating in your comments, external signaling to the Trump administration to alter its position, which it has shown no indication of doing, towards one that is more in line with North Korea's interests, which is a more phased, synchronized process, where the North Koreans give up a little bit and get sanctions relief to start to move towards achieving economic goals that the Kim regime has clearly stated it hopes to achieve. If Washington does not budge, if there is no progress in talks, I would see, excuse me, the North Korean regime maybe more openly stepping away from the table. There have been several high-level statements, not just the normal anonymous KCNA announcements, but statements from high-level personnel in the regime indicating taking a different tone, which indicates a level of seriousness in terms of this end-of-year deadline. We have to remember that there are also domestic internal imperatives for the regime. Kim Jong-un, like many world leaders, many presidents, like Trump, who will give a State of the Union address, Kim has his own New Year's address, and he has to state clearly what direction they're going, and also make reference to the 5-year economic plan that he set in place in 2016. So to have a clear sense of what's going on with Washington is one way or the other is imperative for him to set a clear policy track, which a domestic audience, certain factions and groups within North Korea are attentive to, and to whom it does matter.
Clint, thank you so much indeed. Really interesting to hear your analysis. Clint Work speaking to us from South Korea.